is the Sattler Files.
And welcome back to the Sattler Files. I'm Tricia Duffield, and we're talking to social media mistress Tanya Stapleton. Hello, Tanya.
Hello, Tricia.
Now, social media, every business, everybody has to know social media, but it's a minefield out there. Tell us a little bit about your background and your own insights into social media that have enabled you to become an expert.
Firstly, I'm very passionate about social media. I think it's such a wonderful way to engage, not only with friends, with family. So often we meet people, and nowadays we instantly become Facebook friends and become connected. And I personally have maintained a lot and developed further a lot of relationships that I would have lost had it not been for social media.
Now, most of us are familiar with Facebook and Instagram, and people would have engaged probably on a personal level, but of course for business now it's probably one of their biggest shop windows, isn't it? But how do people learn all the tricks of the trade? I know just from experience, honestly, there's so much there. How do you pick your way through that?
I think for a lot of people it's really hard to be able to do that, and a lot of people don't have the time. So it is definitely being outsourced. Primarily, it's mainly being managed by marketing companies. With marketing companies, they have huge overheads, which is why I sort of thought I would develop a business that could come in at a lower price range and engage probably more on a personal level with businesses and their clients.
So what do you do? So say if I go, hey Tanya, I've got a business, I've got a Facebook account, I really don't know what I'm doing, which I guess is what most people say to you.
Yeah, pretty much. And most people, I think, actually don't really know what they're doing, and they don't have the ability to engage with their customers effectively. And a lot of businesses make the mistake of it almost becoming like a secondary personal account, and it doesn't really highlight enough of what their business is actually all about.
So I guess that's a fine line, isn't it, about being somebody that people can relate to, or a business that people can relate to. So having that sort of friendly or an identity, but then again not having pictures of your dog and your cat and what you had for breakfast in with your business as well. How do you manage to make those decisions and get them right?
I think first of all you always have a look at what they're actually promoting, and you look at what their current format has been, look at the level of engagement that's received, and then really sort of sit down and discuss who is their target market, what are their objectives, and what do they hope to achieve by social media. It's not enough just to basically put pictures of constantly of your business. It's important to also consider what your company policy ethics are, and by broadening your, I always say that you basically need a 3D, multi-dimensional type approach towards any sort of social media marketing. If your company is selling bathrooms, for example, not everything should just be a picture of a bathroom. I mean, that's not really engaging. It's like, why would someone come to you over one of your competitors? The best thing about social media is as well, it's at the very first time, I think, in probably history, do you have the ability to contact your clients, not only at home, you can be reaching them when they're at the office, you can reach them when they're out, you can reach them when they're in the toilet.
Catch them when they're unaware.
Yeah. I mean, how many? I mean, it's always a bit of a joke. Men used to take the newspaper to the toilet and have a read through for about 2 days. But now they're actually taking their phones in, rightly or wrongly.
It's interesting. I mean, like most people, I have a business that has a huge social media component. And I thought I knew some things, and the more you do, the more you know how much you don't know. And then it's trying to find that good advice. So how do you, I mean, I know obviously, you know what you're talking about. How do people know that the person they're talking to is giving them the right sort of advice? How do we make those sort of judgments?
I think that can obviously just be a little bit of trial and error there. And I would always say, go look at what they do. Obviously, with anything, it's research. If you are going to their own social media page and they've got the engagement of 0, how is that really going to actually then translate to changing your business structure? I think it's also really important as well is that the person be prepared to work closely with you and be able to take advice. So what I personally like to do is set up a few posts or, pre-arranged posts, send it through for approval and just sort of say, look, this is the reason why I think this would work for your business. Are you happy with the wording? Do you feel that it reflects with what you want? In the initial stages, if you can work quite closely and make sure that there's a synergy between yourself and whoever's managing your social media, you're probably setting yourself up for a high level of success.
Now, of course, the other thing is a lot of people might think, oh, how hard can it be? I can get a Facebook page or an Instagram page and I'm off and running. Do you see a lot of that, and does it drive you nuts looking at people's business pages going, oh my God, what were they thinking?
I know, 100%. Like sometimes you kind of I will see the core of what they're doing is not too bad, but the presentation is just terrible. And we are visual people. If a picture looks great, you're instantly going to be drawn to what the message is behind it. If the picture doesn't look great, your social media, you can just scroll on by and you're not going to engage that person. And sometimes too, I think, it does need to reflect other aspects of your business. Like, is your company doing fundraising? Is your company doing charity work? Things like that should be incorporated to establish a sense of wholeness, and also what your beliefs and values are will engage people with other similar beliefs and values. For me, I know with the businesses that I follow, now whenever something pops into my mind, like I need advice on something, by following people's social media, I've been able to get a feeling for who they are, what they represent, and I would automatically contact someone that I've dealt with or been following.
There's a phrase, the noise, like the noise of social media. How do you cut through the noise? How do you cut through that? How do you know, look, I don't need to bother about all of that or all of those businesses or those accounts? There's a lot out there.
Yeah. I guess when you, that becomes like establishing an effective way of engaging your audience. People will, if you've engaged your audience right, they will, as opposed to someone who's not engaging them right, you'll just cut yourself out of the market pretty much straight away.
Can a business get by without social media these days?
I don't think so. And I think the good thing about social media is it's a cheap way of advertising. There are still some companies that are like trialing or continuing on with the more sort of outdated styles of like email marketing. And I know for me, now there's so much things that do come through on email that as soon as you see that, it's deleted straight away. You just don't even bother looking at it. It's just like delete. You know what it's about. You know you're trying to sell me something. And that's the other thing I think people make the mistake with social media as well, is they try and sell. You're not there to sell something. People are there to buy.
Right. What's the difference there? Tell me that.
If you're putting on forever, I've got this, I guess it's about selling benefits and matching them with people's needs. If you're just trying to sell, it's like you're pushing your product down someone's throat. What people buy is benefits.
Right.
So how is your product going to benefit someone's life? Is it cheaper than your competitors? Is it a better quality than your competitors? Are you offering some sort of loyalty incentive? Are you giving back to the customer?
That all sounds good. It's almost warm and fuzzy, that, isn't it?
It is.
Really.
Well, that's
and social media is a bit warm and fuzzy.
It is. If you're not doing it in that sort of warm, fuzzy manner, that's when people don't engage.
That's it. I know. I like the sound of that. It's thinking about, well, how do I help the customer, the community, the bigger picture.
Exactly, like what is good for you. And if you can find what is good for your client, you'll have a client for life.
One of the other problems that I've experienced, and I'm sure a lot of other businesses would feel as well, is that it changes all the time. So you just master something and then something changes. And I know with Google and Facebook, Facebook's changed. Facebook is much more difficult now, for people who aren't that experienced. Instagram's had changes. Yep. How do we keep on top of all of that?
With Facebook, you do. It is about growing your following. Obviously, it's about growing your numbers. And if you can create a sense of popularity, and it's like, I am a business that you must deal with because everybody wants to deal with me, is the ultimate goal. Unfortunately, they have made it so that if your posts aren't popular and aren't that engaging, then it doesn't really show up very high in the news feeds. Like, that's the algorithm. So you are, in some cases, forced to actually pay to promote your post. But for the level of engagement that you get from that, it's actually worthwhile, and you do not need a big spend to do it. It's still going to be much cheaper than any other form of advertising.
Now, I guess the other thing that people say about social media is that it can be a vanity game as well, in that it's all about sort of look at me and my perfect life and look at my perfect coffee, and even in trying to build a business, that people sort of make those mistakes as well. And sometimes that can be a bit off-putting. Again, how do you know when you're just, enough already? I don't want to know what you had for dinner or whatever.
Exactly. And I think that comes down to the multidimensional approach. If you are basically just posting everything is a success, everything is easy, my life is fantastic, my life is wonderful, people won't engage with you, because people need to be able to relate. If they can relate to you and saying if you're having a bad day, or if your business has had a struggle, but at the same time, whenever you to make it more real, yes, we've had this struggle, but we overrid that with this success. This is how we reached that outcome, and it was fantastic that we were able to do that. And then people can sort of like cheer you on a bit as well. If it is just like everything is perfect, everything is great, nobody really cares.
No.
Basically, unfortunately, us humans tend to be fueled a lot by jealousy. And if your life is better than mine, people will stop caring about it.
Yeah, no, I feel that myself. Sometimes I can jump on and start browsing around, and I just feel terrible at the end of it. I either feel really inadequate or just really, jealous.
Yeah.
It's a strange sort of world.
Now, with your business, how are you finding the social media approach going?
Well, I love Instagram because I'm a visual person. I'm a word person, but I've also learnt that, less is more when it comes to words and text and so on. So I love Instagram.
Yep.
Facebook, like many businesses, trying to find your way through just this juggernaut of Facebook. So that would be where I'm looking, and I think I'm probably like a lot of other businesses like that.
Definitely. The good thing with that I really love about Instagram is the power of the hashtags. So that's where you can hashtag a word. Always leave a space between each hashtag. Some people just basically hashtag word, but you need to leave a space between each one. And then different individuals or businesses will have that word flagged, and whenever it comes up, they'll go through and they'll do a search on that word, and that'll bring up your post. So it gives you the ability to reach a wider audience. They may not necessarily be following you, but it will draw them to your particular page and give you the opportunity for them to view it and then follow you and engage with you on a business level. In regards to Facebook, especially when you pay for the post, it actually shows your level of reach. And this is a great way to monitor how effective your particular posts are. And you'll sometimes be surprised. The post that you think everybody's going to love, basically no one but your cat sees it. The post if you study what engages people the most, that will help you sort of like tailor to your individual audience.
And of course, you can go into insights, can't you, for both Instagram and Facebook, and look at all those different key factors that, you've been talking about days of the week and times of the day that work. And is that a lot of research to be able to understand how all that works for each individual person or business?
Definitely. With the Australian market, I tend to find that sort of around 2:30 to 4 is the best time to actually post anything. The only reason being, especially if you've got an Eastern States following, is that you've either got people that are finishing work on their way home, so you pick up your Eastern States market, and then that will help your post gain popularity, which will then drip through to your local market based on the different time zones. Also, understand what you like. I always tend to find Monday's always a good day to sort of put something motivational and uplifting about your business. And then Tuesday, once again, should be lighthearted. The thing is, integrate other elements as well, not just all about your business.
And what about Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday? Just while you're here. I'm writing it down as we speak.
For me personally, I found Wednesday's pretty much a little bit of a dull day. Thursday is a great day. People are starting to get excited. The weekend's coming up. And then Friday, people are like, yes, we're out of here. So when you're looking at what you're going to be posting, try and consider what day of the week it is and where are people at emotionally, and then incorporate your posts like that. And sometimes your post that you're putting for your business doesn't necessarily need to relate to just your business. It can be something like that you find funny, or a motivational meme, or a motivational quote. But if you're posting something that doesn't necessarily directly relate to your business image-wise, your captioning needs to incorporate the elements of your business to tie it together. One way or another, your post should always be able to refer back to your business.
And what about the weekends? Worth posting at the weekends?
It really depends what's on, and it depends on what your target is. If your business is maybe masculine relating to us, and I think the other thing actually, is to mention that a lot of social media is that people will engage with your posts will tend to be women, where men tend to be watchers.
Right.
And so that will then come down to, if it's a beautiful sunny day and everyone's going to be outside, you're probably not going to get a high level of post engagement, especially during the daytime, because people aren't on social media. So you might want to look at more so an evening type thing where people are getting home, relaxing. In the winter, people are indoors, so people were more likely to be on their phones so the weather, sporting events and things like that will affect your level of engagement.
Gee, it really is so organic, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's amazing.
100%.
It is. Yeah. And then what about if you, you get all that sort of stuff right, and then, you just want to splash in something. You can just, there's no sort of rules, is there? You can just be as creative or as out there as you want. Is there any danger that a post that was a disaster might have long-term implications, or is it here and gone? Does it matter if you get it wrong?
I think that's the good thing about social media is that you might, good and bad. The problem with social media that I see is that it is their voice, and there's a situation where keyboard warriors. So if you do post something on that people don't like, you will very quickly find out. But at the same time, it does drop off fairly quickly because someone else has put something on that they don't like, and they will then start reacting to that. And you know what? If you do something that has annoyed people, don't be afraid to say, you know what? Now that I've thought about it, that wasn't the right thing, or I shouldn't have posted that. But I appreciate the fact that you've been able to, voice your opinion, and I'm taking that on board.
Yes, it is the great democracy of social media, but it can be quite scary. As a former keyboard warrior, yeah. I was like, I just have to say this right now, and I realised, that you don't actually have to say it right now, and that less words is possibly better. Let pictures speak for themselves.
The other thing as well is for a lot of businesses, especially things like restaurants, bars, that is becoming, social media is becoming the way that people will communicate directly to you, as far as through Messenger, through customer complaints. It's really, really important that if someone is complaining, even if you don't particularly believe or don't feel it's correct, is that you respond very quickly. Nothing will get a person more angry than you not responding to their complaint on social media. And then, unfortunately, what people do is, if you're not going to respond to me now, you know what? I'm going to post it to my page directly, and I'm going to tell everybody that your business is terrible. With complaints via social media, you've got an opportunity to turn your client around very quickly.
All right. The final thing, I guess, is getting people to the checkout. How do you get them to the checkout? You might have all this great stuff going on, but they still don't go to the shop now button.
Shop now. I think sometimes that can take a little bit longer than what we like, and that really comes down to you promoting what the benefits of your product are and creating that sense of, I need this in my life. And that's really all that you can do with that one.
All righty. And we're getting used to that, though. We're getting used to the whole environment of social media, aren't we? It's here to stay. It's evolving every day, so we have to jump on board.
Exactly. 100%.
Yeah, there you are. And that's why you're necessary.
That's it. That's why I'm very necessary. You need me in your life.
We definitely need you in our life, social media mistress, because, there are a lot of people who are in business but who are not social media people.
That's right. And when it's your business, it's your baby, it's your love, and you have a vision for it and can only see it in the one way. As an individual, you probably also only have the ability to think in one way, and you need someone that has the ability to engage with different walks of life, so you're not excluding anybody.
Well, Tanya Stapleton, social media mistress, it's been lovely talking to you today. I hope everybody who's been listening to this can take some of that on board and improve how they engage on those platforms and help their business. And I look forward to talking to you again soon.
Wonderful, Tricia. And it was lovely to see your journey across the Nullarbor to beautiful WA.
It was a great adventure that I did share with everybody on Facebook and whatever. So yes, it does. It is a great way to tell a story.
Absolutely. All right, great. Lovely to see you. Look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you, Tanya.
This is the Sattler